seedling and give it all the nurture and the love and then put it in the right environment, it will grow. But if you put it in muddy, stagnant water, really dark conditions, it's battling just to stay alive, let alone flourish and grow.
What is my body trying to tell me? What am I healing from? Is it an emotional healing? Is it a physical healing? These are questions we need to ask ourselves.
87, I think now. She goes to the gym 3 times a week, and she just does her little bit and off she goes. She's so energized and, that's just her contribution, to make her feel young. And I've met some amazing people, who are older. You don't have to be doing triathlons or anything like that, but just it's a natural energy lifter just by moving, going for a walk or, spending time in nature. It's a natural shift. But people who just sit around, eat bad food, don't move, have got a negative view on the world, and surround themselves with, a lot of negativity, you would see this more so. Then how do you expect to flourish in those conditions? You can't. It's like planting a little seedling and giving all the nurture and the love and then put it in the right environment, it will grow. But if you put it in muddy, stagnant water, really dark conditions, it's battling just to stay alive, let alone flourish and grow.
I see people on Facebook, they eat really unhealthily, right, in one post, and then the next post they complain about a health issue. And I often, when I look at it, I'm like, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Like, why?
I know. When I was really young, like 21, about 22, I think it was, and what I thought was healthy was okay. It was nothing bad, but I would have a hot roast chicken. This is for lunch, like chicken and chips and a can of Diet Coke. Because I thought that was my compromise. I didn't want full Coke because I didn't want all the sugar. So I'd have Diet Coke. Now, we won't even go there about Diet Coke in itself, but I was just talking about the choice between what I was thinking, trying to make a healthier choice at the time. That was my compromise.
But, when you're young, it's a totally different thing, right? Your body can completely process it. It's not an issue. When you get older, you have to find ways, right? I mean, occasionally you can have the chips, but what are you going to do after that?
Sometimes, the scariest part is making the first step because it's the unknown. But when you actually start there, I remember my mother's group, I didn't know anyone at all when I first started, and I rocked up with my baby, not knowing what to expect, and I've made lifelong friends still to this day. Because they've all got something in common. We're all different people, of course, and it's nothing to do with sport. It's just, coming together, as women. And that's for some of these social groups. You can go out for a nice walk because you might not have the friends or like-minded friends that will do that, but you've got a group there that can support you. It might only be once a week or once a fortnight. But it's something. And I think that's when people start to make those little changes, and that's when they start to then pick up because they start to feel better about themselves. It's when they start to feel crappy. Don't take advice from people who feel crappy about themselves.
Exactly. I think there's a saying, right? The 5 people that you hang out with most would be your mindset, right? It would be how you behave. And I always think to myself, who are the 5 people that I always hang around with? And I don't really have one fixed group. So I feel like, okay, I want to choose the average of different groups. So that I become the average of the different groups, that I'm not stuck in one kind of mindset. And it makes me also very aware. Like if I'm with a certain group and I know the mindset of a certain group, I become hyper aware that, okay, this is how they behave, this is how they think, and the good points I'll take it in, the not so good ones I'll say, okay, that's not for me. And I think we need to be much more aware about the kind of environment that we put ourselves in, because that would definitely impact us, right? If we are around complainers or people who don't care about their health or wellness, and inevitably we become that, and we just become yeah, we get lazy, in self-care.
To give you an example, like I was out with one of the ladies that I work with, and we just went out like for a dinner, and it was fantastic, right? I love it a bit. And it was just nice because we hardly get to catch up. And she's a lot younger than me. She's only 21, but she's just so switched on, and I just love her energy. And we just sit there, we just talk. And anyway, so we said, let's have pizza. And she's having a baby, and she said, let's have pizza. And I went, yeah. So I had this pizza. It was really nice. Now I could have, it wasn't huge, but I could have probably stopped and had 2 slices like left over. But because I was just socially engaging and, sort of I wasn't really kind of thinking about it, I ended up eating the whole pizza to myself, which was really nice. Like it was okay. But if I'd been around, I suppose, my friends who we just subconsciously just, like would have salad, I normally would have salad with it, just sort of the restaurant side of it wasn't open. But, normally we would have salad and, we'd only have a couple of pieces because that's just how we were. But I was just sort of caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
And I didn't give myself a hard time, but it was just so easily because you're kind of in that same environment with somebody else and you just mindlessly do it. But if you're the group who are, fully aware, like the like-minded group, it would just be, no, I'm fine. Like I know I didn't need those extra 2 pieces and I'm not beating myself up, but just how easily it was just to eat it.
Yes.
I wasn't hungry. I was just eating because I was just enjoying the chat.
It's such a social thing, isn't it? Because if I'm out and about socially with people, I tend to eat more, right? Because that's the environment. If you're in a party, you tend to eat more. When I'm at home alone, I can forget to eat because I don't feel the hunger. And if I eat, I cook in a portion that is just right for me because it's just for me, right? So I know how much I want. And so the amount is really, not much. And I'm okay with that. So if I know like tonight, right? Today is Saturday. Tonight, I know I'm going out meeting friends and I know that I'm going to eat more. So what I do is I prepare myself, right? So like maybe earlier on in the day, I have my brunch and then I have dinner. And then depending on how much I'm going to eat, tomorrow I may fast, right? I'm into intermittent fasting. I enjoy that because it has really served me very well. My body takes to fasting really well. And so I've been doing that for years, fasting. So I will, let's say if I have dinner, a big dinner, then I'll make sure that I do my 12 to 16 hour fast. And then I feel okay again. So my body resets, right? But I have to say, fasting is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. It doesn't work for, depending on your body type, depending on, how you digest stuff. So for me, it really works. So I use that as a way to be very aware, like, okay, this is what I'm consuming. And then how much do I need to make sure my body resets? So let's say if I have 2 glasses of wine, then I will make sure that, I have my pre and probiotics before going to bed, have a lot of water, and then the next day, my apple cider vinegar and my honey and tea, and before I actually have a main meal later on in the day. So, just being aware of what goes in. And so then I don't deprive myself of enjoying food. I enjoy eating. I enjoy the food, right? And I don't want to deprive myself. And so I do eat, but learning how to not feel like I have to miss out, because I do see people who struggle as they get older. They feel like, oh, no, I'm not going to eat that. It's too fattening. Or I'm not going to eat that. This is too fattening, right? I enjoy fatty food. I enjoy butter. And I think butter is healthy. That's a good fat that I like. And I don't take margarine. I take butter and I enjoy, like sometimes I feel like, oh, I need something, in my tummy. I'll take a tablespoon of butter and I'll eat it. And my daughter saw them. My daughter said, "Mom, you're disgusting. What are you doing? Why are you taking like spoonful of butter?" I mean, if you don't have enough information or knowledge about the kind of food that you want to take, you can then tend to take low-fat food, but you don't realize that the food, right, the package says low-fat, but it's actually high sugar.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
Most people don't know that, and if we don't read the labels, then you're gonna think, oh, it's low fat, I can take it. But
I think that's something we can definitely talk about at greater length, because and have that for another episode, because people consciously want to make a good choice, but they don't know where to start, and it makes it harder. And then when they do get into those social environments, they feel like they're missing out because of they still want to try and work towards something. And I always say life is for living, and I teach people how to navigate through those social environments. And if you've got all those potholes filled, and you're doing that, little bit of social occasion that you have at the time shouldn't have any influence. Over. And it depends. I've got to be careful what I say there, because it's not all, it can just derail you a little bit, as in it can sort of pause you from, it will slow down, your your goal that you're working towards. But it's helping people to know how to make different choices. Like, I see at the gym sometimes these men, they're all sitting around, and I hear them talking when they finish, and they'll go, "Oh God, we've got to go to a dinner tonight," or "We had this dinner, and oh God, we're all into vegan." And it wasn't because they've got vegan. It's not because of their beliefs. What it boiled down to is because they thought that was a way for weight loss. Their wives are sort of all on this vegan thing, and then they went, "God, all I want is like real food." And I thought, oh, these poor men. But I look at these ladies who just want to make good choices because they're worried about their shape changing. So it comes down to the information at hand, and not one size fits all. So it's learning to educate them in some good choices to help them navigate through, so that when they are against social situations, they're not afraid. Like, I've met so many people that go, "I'll just have to look at food and it jumps on my hips," or they're just so fearful of that becomes very obsession, because they've not got that real good connection with the food. So, but that's, definitely an education, episode that we can, we can help with. And it'd be interesting to see what other listeners that are going through themselves, and, when they're finding, as they're getting older now, not only are they moving differently, but what are they doing to help promote movement and motivation. Also cooking, for one, sometimes, as as people get older, they're in that situation, and I know a lot of people can't be bothered. So what do they do to help try and navigate through that? Because I think it's really interesting when more people sort of share, like, what they're going through. It helps the other person to know that they're not the only one experiencing it. There's other people out there exactly like them, going through the same, if not worse. So what do they do to help, navigate that process? Because that might just help someone, like we can talk because we see it all the time, but the average person who's experiencing it, I think it's really good if, if they help us, let us know what they're going through as well.
We definitely should do a podcast, an episode where we are sharing how to read labels. Food labels. I think that's so important, right? Because most people don't read the labels. They just, just take it. And, talking about vegan, right? Unfortunately, with a lot of vegan stuff, it's hyper processed, super processed food, right? I mean, vegetarian is still not so bad. Like vegetarian, you still have your eggs, your cheese, and that's still okay, right? To have that and just go meatless. But if you go into this, I mean, with so many companies out there, creating these vegan stuff, right? It's so processed. It's like 1,000 ingredients in that one thing.
I know, right? And it's interesting. Like, you get like coming back to those men as an example, because I know that a lot of people can relate to that when they're talking about their wives, and I hear the women talk about, and they'll go, they'll have this little cake. Now, there's nothing wrong with having cake, but it's a reason behind it. And they'll go, oh, no, I can have that cake because it's made from dates and, la, 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 la. And I went, look, to be honest, you're better off having the real thing, because if you're looking at weight loss, and that I talked to them, it all comes down to what your goal is. If you're looking at weight loss, if you're eating this because you think this is a healthier choice, then I can tell you eating this is far better, and the reasons why. And they go, oh, my God. And I went, yep. But they just think because it's a healthier choice, that's what they promote. And also, generally, in a supermarket, everything's at eye height. They want you to have. Yeah. So,
Yeah. I mean, food companies, right? I mean, they prey on, I hope we don't get censored here from YouTube, but they prey on people's weaknesses and ignorance.
Yeah.
And they label things as healthy when it is not, right? Like they call it low fat, then you get an impression that, oh, okay, it's definitely healthy than the other option. But actually, no, full fat is healthier. Yeah. Or like, the sugar replacement stuff that they do, so many of this sugar replacement is not healthy. I mean, if you get the good stuff, it's fine, right? But I feel it's like one big scam.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. Look, and that's even like in the fitness industry with supplements. Mm-hmm. So there's no regulation here in Australia, like for the supplement industry. You can have a tiny, tiny little bit amount of presence, in a product, and that's okay. Yeah. But, so then people, will read the label just like as what they would the supermarket. Go, oh, burn fat 3 times faster. Oh, yes, please. Now, it might just only have a tiny little presence in it, but not enough to back it up. Yeah. To burn fat 3 times faster,
And also, so many of these supplements are not even bioavailable. You take it, you flush it out. You're just wasting your money, right?
I know. Yeah. So at the end of the day, people just want to look better, feel better about themselves, move better. And it's when there's just so much, distraction out there and noise, sometimes that can really compromise things as well. So that sort of derails us in the wrong direction as opposed to where we need to be. But that just comes, down to, people like us just trying to help, share some of the stories and educate. Just basic general things that can hopefully help people make some better choices. Because, they understand why.
All right, Alina, shall we say goodbye?
Yes.
For this episode, and then so you want to go ahead first?
Yes, so thank you for listening, everyone. I look forward to hearing your comments and what your stories are as well. So I'll say goodbye. It's Alina Anderson from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia.
Yeah, thank you, Alina. And this is Shamala from Singapore signing out. See you all soon.
Oh, you guys with books and all, okay.
Well, we are also like more than 10 years ahead of you, right? In terms of physical age. So we got a lot more done.